Government, you're deliberately putting those writings out there, calling it a manifesto. You're creating this sensation in order to justify your charge. Because I actually believe from a legal point of view. So we launched a brand new podcast. It's called Luigi. It's on through Wondery Plus.
What a name.
I mean, of course. And we interviewed like people he grew up with, people he was hanging out with in Hawaii, and like, you know, some of them might have seen a change, but some of them were just so shocked.
Really?
Shocked. When it came out that he was the suspect, they couldn't believe it. This was like a complete 180 from the guy that they knew. And I have to imagine it is an incredibly difficult time for his family trying to make sense of all this. But my gosh, hopefully between now and whenever his first trial is, because he's facing, 3 different jurisdictions, 3 charges in different jurisdictions. Yeah. Pennsylvania, New York State, and then federal charges, although he hasn't been federally indicted yet. But whenever that trial happens between now and then, hopefully we get more answers. I mean, those writings, the manifesto, even though his defense attorneys don't want to call it that, it gives you a little bit of a glimpse, but I don't know. I mean, it's funny. You say it is, right? You know what his defense team is saying? It's not a manifesto. Don't call it a manifesto. You know why it's not a manifesto? He didn't release it. The suspect has to release it in order for it to be a manifesto. What happens if you get caught before it's released? I mean, is it not a manifesto? They don't want to do it. They say it's tainting the jury pool and all that. But actually, it's an interesting argument. They say, real quick, I won't digress, but they basically, in order to get it's murder for terrorism. That's how they're getting first and second degree murder in New York. That's how they're getting life in prison. And it has to be murder in furtherance of terrorism. In order to prove that, you have to say it was a murder committed to influence a unit of government or intimidate or basically instill fear in a population. And the defense's argument is, government, you're deliberately putting those writings out there, calling it a manifesto. You're creating this sensation in order to justify your charge. Because I actually believe from a legal point of view, it is a stretch to say it's terrorism. I don't think it quite fits. I think it's easily second-degree intentional murder. I think they'll probably get him on that. But to say it's terrorism, I don't quite see it. But I think it was an interesting argument they made.
Prices over the last few years have been and continue to be high, and most people unfortunately have to reach for credit cards to cover bills. Credit card debt has reached an all-time high, and it's trapping Americans. But luckily, American Financing can help homeowners pay off high-interest debt by using their home's equity. American Financing is a family-owned mortgage lender that's been around for 25 years. And yes, they're licensed in all 50 states. Their mortgage consultants are salary-based, so there's no incentive for them to put you in a loan that doesn't make sense for you. Furthermore, their customers save an average of $800 a month, and American Financing doesn't charge any upfront or hidden fees to find out how much you can save later. You may be able to close in as fast as 10 days. And on top of that, you may be able to delay up to 2 mortgage payments, creating more savings upfront. American Financing has helped hundreds of thousands of homeowners create meaningful savings, and it's reflected in their reviews on Google. So make sure you call today at 888-991-9788. That's 888-991-9788 or AmericanFinancing.net/Dorey. That link is in the description below. American Financing, NMLS 182334. Yeah, terrorism's like this word we throw around, but the actual legal definition is pretty complicated, no?
It depends upon the statute. This one is, if you're going to commit a murder that is designed to influence a unit of government or intimidate a civilian population, which would make sense for a classic example. If somebody goes out, has a suicide vest on, blows it up, right, and in the name of some cause abroad, clearly fits the definition. Here, what was he really trying to do? I mean, taking the allegations is true. What change was he trying to make? How was he trying to influence government? Was he wasn't going after other people in the population. If you look at the video, there was a woman, a bystander, who watched him gun down, allegedly watched him gun down Brian Thompson. I'm a lawyer, I gotta say, allegedly watched him gun down Brian. She ran away. He didn't that suspect did not target any civilian person. He wasn't trying to instill fear. Now, you can make the argument. CEOs of other companies are part of a civilian population. Was he trying to scare them? You see what I'm saying? It's a little bit of a stretch. It's not clear on its face, and I'm sure prosecutors are going to have to expand upon it leading up to trial.
Yeah, and his family's not supporting him at all in this, right? Like they're not do we know anything about that?
I don't know, like outwardly. I mean, he is getting a lot of financial support from
people.
the fund. I think the family has been rather quiet, and understandably so, but I don't know how much they helping him in his legal case.
Can't imagine being in that position.
How do you even process it? And by the way, I don't know the last time they spoke to him. Like, did they know what he was up to, where he was, what was going on? What was that relationship like? How much is that going to be teased out at a trial? I don't know. Are they going to have a, sit down for an interview? Probably not. But that relationship between him and his family, and understanding what did they know about him? What was he up to? How did he make his way to New York? Where did he get a ghost gun? Again, taking the allegations as true. These are questions that are still up in the air, and we don't have a clear answer.
Yeah, what was the story with the gun again?
It was a ghost gun. It was like a 3D manufactured gun. And by the way, so it was interesting, like if you think from a defense perspective, he's apprehended in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And he has this weapon on him, and they're able to match the ballistics to the crime scene. You have the surveillance footage, right? You have fake IDs that match the hostel where he was staying. This is relatively a straightforward case for prosecutors. Now, recently, his defense team has said, "What's the best way that you get a case thrown out?" You say the evidence was improperly collected, right? Imagine none of this evidence comes in. So they basically said his rights were violated in that McDonald's. Police cornered him. They didn't properly read him his Miranda rights. They broke protocol. All of it should be tossed. I think it's an uphill argument. Probably not going to work. But that's the first thing they're trying to do to help his legal case.
What about the Dark Knight Rises, perp walk they made him do? Was that a part of the case to throw it out?
Good reference. He and Diddy now in the same MDC. It's like Arkham Asylum, right? Isn't it? Look, I think people can criticize that. It was unique. You don't see it often. Then again, I think the Mayor Eric Adams is trying to make a statement. This is a crime that we don't really see ever in Midtown Manhattan. Yes, there are shootings, obviously, but nothing like that. I've been, by the way, that street 300 times in my life. I've been on that street.
Yeah.
Because I used to park my car right there, so I know exactly where it is. Stuff like that doesn't happen. When you see the public fervor for him, I think the government has to take a strong position to make sure there's no other copycats. They're sending a message.
I understand that.
But the problem is like that could influence a jury. It can embolden other people. It's something they have to think about. Every optics are very important here.
Yeah, that's a great word for it. It's
Yeah.
all about the optics. It was kind of crazy though, because my buddy Joe Deef and his writing partner Matt Ferrara wrote this script for this play called Sacco and Vanzetti, based on that case. It's called Sacco and Vanzetti Are Dead. And so I think Luigi was caught on a Monday. The Saturday before, me and my buddy John went in to see their first table read of it, and it's like this ridiculous, over the top, like comedy play and so they had the whole cast in there, like doing a private table read. And one of the jokes is that they were blaming the assassin on this crazy lone gunman named Luigi.
Oh,
and they
yeah,
just wrote this into the script.
Oh, wow.
And then on Monday it comes out, and they're this is the greatest marketing opportunity of our life.
Unbelievable. But did you see that thing, like when he was first arrested? It was like at a nightclub. Somebody put up his picture on the DJ booth screen, and everybody in the club went nuts. They were all like, yeah. I was like, I've never seen it. People get obsessed with killers or suspected killers all the time. It's not new. But like this, I've never seen anything like it.
If his name weren't fun to say, Luigi Mangione is a very fun name to say. And if he weren't like a young, good-looking dude,
no,
would it be this big?
Probably not.
Right?
Probably not. I mean, let's call it what it is. He has become, I think, people who believe what he did is right. And I'm not saying that's everybody who supports him, but people who believe what he did is right or understandable. There would probably be some of that, like, oh, he's sending a message. I kind of emphasize, but the fact that he's young and, good looking, it helps. And it also will help in a jury. It also help. It's going to, optics matter. I say it again. The way you look matters, especially in a courtroom. It's a big consideration. Absolutely.
So he could technically be sitting at the table while shit's going on the witness stand and just be winking at some middle-aged juror, and that lady's going to vote for him.
If he gets caught doing that, he's in a lot of trouble. But no, he I had a conversation about this recently with an FBI profiler. I'm saying this. This is what she said. I asked her the question. I say, do you think he's deliberately chiseling his jaw, looking at the camera? You ever see that when he's like in court? He's like looking around, like he's playing up a little bit. She goes, absolutely, 100% he is. I don't know. That was her opinion, but he knows what's going on. He gets it. I've never seen so much conversation about loafers before in my life because he wears loafers and the green sweater.
They gave him an eyebrow job in prison too.
I saw that. Look, it matters, and jurors are human beings. Look, the big concern we call it in the law, jury nullification. It's when a jury comes in and they don't decide a case based on the facts of the law; they base it on emotion. That's a real consideration. You're not allowed to do that as a defense attorney. You're not allowed to do that, like appeal to the juror's emotion, say you should put aside the facts in the law and find him not guilty because of that. But it's implicit, and you wonder if that's something that could happen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it play out because also, like you said, it's in there's like three different jurisdictions with this.
Yes.
You have New York State, so that's one case. The federal case is also in Southern District of New York.
Yep.
And then the case in Pennsylvania, is that just like evidence tampering and illegal gun carrying?
It's forgery charges, presenting fake ID to police, weapons possession charges. It's obviously the less serious case when you're dealing with federal murder charges that carry potentially the death penalty and state murder charges that carry potentially life in prison.
Now, let's play a hypothetical here because I don't know. I mean, I guess because judges are human beings too, it does vary judge to judge. But hypothetically, let's say shit goes down. He gets found not guilty of the serious charges in New York and the federal court, but goes to Pennsylvania on the forgery charges and the gun charge and whatever. I don't know what the sentencing guidelines would be, but let's say it's something that the normal person, if they were found guilty on that, and in this hypothetical scenario, let's say they'd get 3 years or 2 years or something. Do you think a judge would use their own judgment to say, fuck it, I'm giving him 20 years because I think he did this shit?
I mean, for those charges that he's facing, I don't remember off the top of my head what the maximum is. They would have to be the judge would base the decision based on the arguments from the prosecutor and the defense attorney. Now, they could go past it. They could say, I've listened to arguments and I think it actually should go beyond what the minimum is or what the maximum is here. But that'll be appealed because, again, you have to look strictly at what those charges are, right? And, yeah, that's a consideration, but I don't think necessarily that would happen.
Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, look what O.J. Simpson, right? O.J. Simpson found not guilty. And then O.J. gets convicted of that whole Las Vegas stealing the memorabilia. And he got, 7 years? I mean,
it's like 8 years, 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were people who were like, he got convicted because, well, I think I don't remember that case that well, but I remember there was a conversation of how much was it based on the evidence in that case versus this is a second shot at trying to hold him accountable for what he allegedly did.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.